I'm ready. I'm excited about this morning. As I mentioned, it's a panel. This weekend is Let's Talk About Love. And again, a massive part of what we believe in Scripture, it's covered in love. So our hosts for this morning, Anika Jeffries and Ellie Crawford, can you give them a hand as they come up? They're going to introduce the topic and the people.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Should we invite our panellists up now or soon?
Let's do it now. Go for it. Yeah.
All right. We would like to invite up here Hayden and Andrea.
Woohoo!
Matt and Rebecca and Rayma.
Rayma, come on up.
Yay. So cool. So, sorry, I've got my back to you. This morning, we just wanted to talk about love. Can you say love? Love. So it's an opportunity for us to take a deep dive into what love looks like in lots of different relationships in our lives. I love what the Apostle Paul says, 1 Corinthians. Because he's not talking about the love, like I love your shoes, I love Yomi. Who loves Yomi? Yeah. He's talking about Christ-like love. And he says, love is patient and kind. It's not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable. It keeps no record of being wronged. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. That's Christian love, and that's what we want to talk about today. Sound good? Yeah? Cool. So, this is our amazing panel. Give them another hand. So good. So they have all walked through many ups and downs in life, but they all exemplify beautiful Christ-like love, and so that's why we wanted to hear from them today. And so we've got a little icebreaker for you guys. Quick fire questions. Can you tell us your name, how long you've been following Jesus, and if you're married, how long you've been married for?
Great question.
Great. Hi, my name's Matt. I'm married to this person who can introduce herself. I grew up in a Christian home and gave my heart to Jesus when I was 4. But probably when I think of when I started truly following for myself Jesus and making those choices was probably 13, 14. I was water baptised when I was 13. And we have been married 26 years.
Kia ora, ko Rebecca Tokuingoa. My name's Rebecca. I, like Matt, also decided to follow Jesus when I was 4, so that is 42 years. And similar, I got water baptised at 7, and so I think plus or minus some, teenage shenanigans. That's quite far enough.
Awesome. Kia ora, talofa. Oh, wow. Kia ora, talofa. I'm Rayma. I also gave my heart to the Lord at 4. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. I've grown up in church. Oh, it might have been 4, actually. But, yeah, I remember giving my heart to the Lord in kids' church. And, yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea. I have grown up in a Christian home and fortunate enough to do that. I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 11 and got baptised when I was 11. And we've been married 11 years coming up this year. Yeah, this year. Yeah.
My name's Hayden. I also gave my life when I was in kids' church as well. Sometime I can't even remember when though. It was 7, 8, something like that. But then in high school, obviously you make a bigger decision then. So so something 25-ish years, and we already said how long we've been married for. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? You said 11, wasn't it?
That is awesome. There's so many similarities, actually. This is great. And so today, like Ali said, we're going to focus on what real love looks like in the context of relationships. And so I do have a question, and I guess it's quite a hefty question straight away to all of you. So we'll just start here and go down the end. When did you receive the revelation of the love of God?
I think it was a gradual revelation for me, where, as I said, I grew up. So I think particularly around like the love from my parents and love from the community of the church created an impact on my life. And then particular people within the church as well, spending time with me, actually having those conversations and being like, you know, do you actually believe in God? But not only that, like, are you aware how much He actually loves you? And just, it turned into a knowledge thing. And then as it came from a knowledge thing, then it became more of an experiential thing where I actually experienced His love. And yeah, so, yeah.
I think I just said before I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 11, but it wasn't until I had about 24 that I went off to an Easter camp. Like a lot of you guys have just experienced a youth camp, where I had my first proper encounter with God, and it's really hard to describe, but I think it was just during worship. A lovely young girl was playing the piano, and we were just soaking in worship music. And it's really hard for me to describe that moment, but I just absolutely felt the love of God just overwhelming. And I think it literally changed my life. And so I think growing up in a Christian home, I think my mom would always tell me, I'm praying for you, you know. We'd go to church every Sunday, and I came back from that camp, and the choices that I made from that camp freaked my mum out even, I think. She was praying for me all my life, and for me to have my own experience with God, and I think having such a beautiful moment where God met me for me, and I think it helped me take responsibility of my Christian faith and walk it out for me, and not just relying on my mum's, her prayers for me and what she wanted for my life and what she saw God doing in my life. But it helped me take responsibility for my Christian walk. Yeah. So 24 actually. Yeah.
Beautiful. For me, they gave us this question beforehand, and it was hard to think of an exact moment of when I feel like it became real to me, but it's always been real to me, if that makes sense. That's why it was hard to choose a spot where it was like, oh, I'm loved by God. And I think that's shout out to my parents, and then also all my youth leaders, all my kids leaders and everything like that, because they really helped to demonstrate what God's love was to me, and loving people and unconditionally, and, you know, even when it didn't feel like you wanted to be loved by them and all that kind of stuff. And so, and then I think at a summer camp, when I was like 13 or something, I had always known that God's love was like real and He loved me and all that stuff. But then at summer camp, I heard for the first time the verse, perfect love casts out all fear. And that's when, I think that's one moment that I can be like, oh, like, He loves me, and it's so real, and anything that comes, whatever, like all the circumstances of life, it actually doesn't matter, because I had this understanding of His perfect love and this revelation, and it never leaves.
They gave us this question and they said it would be at the end, and so I just thought we wouldn't get to it because we'll talk about all the other questions. Really quickly, I think it's the same. It's really hard when you've experienced Jesus as a little person to kind of go, when did I first experience His love? Because I don't think it's a first, I think it's a everyday. So for me, I experienced lots of unwanted things as a child or as a teenager and as a young adult. So I sought out love in the form of men. And I think I've been sitting here processing while everyone else is talking and thinking that for me, I think I experienced the love of God in a new way, in a deeper way, when I realised it didn't matter what I had done, that I couldn't escape His love. That I couldn't go, down to the depths of the earth and He was still there. And so I think that for me, and I think meeting Matt was also probably the key moment where I got to experience the love of a Christian man who inspired me to be more of myself and modelled Jesus' love. That's my short answer with not thinking I was going to talk about.
Oh. Yeah, I'm but the same with these guys and struggle to think of a time. But one thing that I was thinking about this morning, in terms of a time of when I really just was like, knew God's love and favour over my life, was when I was a young teenager. I was probably the age of my boy Wilbur now, 13, 14. I had incredibly bad acne, like really, really, really bad. And I had some pretty awful, terrible things said over me and talked to me. And so I had to choose which voices I would listen to. And I remember distinctly being in my room in our house and deciding that I wanted to listen to God's voice, not the voices of the boys at the school that I was at, and pushed into God from there, and just found this incredible stability within that, knowing that God loves me, and that for me, I'd chosen that was the most important thing for me. And my family loved me, and I had an amazing youth group. But choosing God's love was life-changing.
Oh, wow. Those are great answers. It's so always beautiful hearing from everybody's heart in that respect of what that revelation of God is, and it's so different for all of us. The next question is related. So obviously this weekend is Waitangi Day weekend, and it is a special weekend for our nation. And so this is a question directed at Rayma and Rebecca. And so in the light of, we're talking about all things love, what does love have to do with the Treaty of Waitangi? And Rayma, Rebecca, whichever wants to go first, that's fine.
Everything. Full stop. I bought this book with me just because I think that Alistair sums it up better than I probably can, He Tātou Pōnamu, about the idea that Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the treaty, is covenant. And as people of faith, you've probably heard that word before. You may understand this idea of covenant. We often speak about it at weddings, that when you're getting married, you're forming a covenant relationship. And so for me, that's everything. It's not a contract. It's not something that's a legal document. It's a living, breathing document that calls us to action, really. And so for me, he tangata tiriti aho, I'm a person of the treaty. Alistair talks about how when they were trying to figure out how to establish relationship in Aotearoa, New Zealand, that Queen Victoria's gift of the treaty was from an ethic of love, where she wanted to invite partnership and love. And he writes about in Ephesians 2:14, for he is our peace. In his flesh he has made both groups into one and has broken down the dividing wall that is the hostility between us. Two people groups, the Jews and the Gentiles, becoming one nation through a covenantal union while still maintaining their original identities. And in Scripture, Paul's writing about in Ephesians, that's Jews and Gentiles. But for us, it's the same. It's unity in diversity. So Te Tiriti, I'm going to be quiet because I could talk about this for the whole questions. But it's understanding that it's covenantal commitment through relationship, where we're both committed to the good of the other person rather than a transactional relationship. And at Waitangi Day, one of the speakers invited us again to think about how we can be good treaty partners. And I think when we hold the ethic of love and we think about love, and that's what sits. It's not about, it's unity, and it's thinking about what is most beneficial for the other person. So that's my invitation to all of us. How are we honouring Te Tiriti and being good treaty partners with love?
Cool. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful example of being a great treaty partner. I have the privilege of being both tangata whenua, a person of the land, and also tangata tiriti, a person of the treaty. So I whakapapa, I'm from Te Araroa, in Ngāti Porou, on the east coast, and so through that I have the standing where I can, I'm from here, and this is my home, and it always will be my home. And then also on the other side of it, I'm tangata tiriti, so I have, without the treaty, I wouldn't even be here. So I have a great respect for it, and I think that it's super important. Everyone who's not tangata whenua, so if you're not Māori from this land, then the Treaty of Waitangi gives us, permission to live here. And we, as Christians, we have, covenant, like Rebecca was saying, we have this beautiful, deep understanding of what covenant means. God, the Bible is filled with so many examples of God and his covenant to his people, with Noah, with Abraham saying he'll be a father, and then also the new covenant. And so we have this deep understanding of what a covenant is, and that's what the treaty is. And also a holy understanding, Holy, of what covenant means and what it means to be in covenant with someone. And with the Treaty of Waitangi, the timing of it was, there was revival sweeping through the nation and in amongst the Māori people. And so the Bible, the missionaries had come, and they weren't bringing a new whatever. The Spirit of God was already moving amongst this land, and then they were able to introduce the Bible, the book of the gospel, of the good news. And through that, Māori were able to we were able to understand of what covenant is and have this deeper understanding of it. So when the treaty came, we, the chiefs and the revival that had been sweeping through, they had this idea of what a covenant is and what it means from the Bible. And so they were like, oh, this makes sense. And a few minutes on a stage is we're never gonna be able to delve into all the intricacies and nuances that come along with the treaty, or Te Tiriti o Waitangi. But I think we as Christians, we have this beautiful example of what it means to be in covenant, and we should be setting the example. And I think there's nothing more edifying or more beautiful than everyone gathering together, every tribe, every nation, and every tongue gathering to give God the glory and to worship him. And this is what church is. It's a gathering of his people, and we should be giving, just worshiping him. But yeah.
That's beautiful, Rayma. Thank you so much to the two of you. I really appreciate your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was super, super insightful. I love that New Zealand is a multicultural country, and I love, especially in our church community, we have so many different ethnicities represented. We have Māori and Samoan and Pacifica and Filipino, South African. We have Singaporeans in the room, Malaysians in the room. Have I missed anybody? Australians in the room. Jamaican in the room. I love it. I love other cultures. And so I have a question around cross-cultural marriage. So Hayden and Andrea, coming from different cultural backgrounds, do you have a funny or memorable story from sometime in your married years?
We actually, I proposed to you on Waitangi Day because I joked that it was two cultures coming together. We're starting to form that covenant. But funny things in our marriage, because it was interesting. We've struggled to think about this because we're actually very similar to each other. We were intentional about having conversations beforehand, and we realized that actually we were very similar. But the only thing I think that came up was that around the food would have been that sort of the Fijian Indian culture is to cook things with bones inside them. And so, because it brings all the flavor out from there. And I agree, it does bring all the flavor out, but I'm a lazy eater, and I like everything being prepared on my plate so I don't have to pick things out. I just want to shovel it up and put it straight in my mouth. And so that was probably the only thing that we came across. But besides that, yeah, it wasn't that much. Do you have any funny things from being married to a white guy?
I don't think there's funny things. Yeah, just your complaints of bones in food is just hilarious. I'm just, get over it. It's just a bone. You know it's there. You're not going to choke on it. But yeah, no, I don't have any funny things. Honestly, like Hayden said, we're very compatible. Like, it's crazy. When we were dating, like it was like, you know, the saying opposites attract. That was not us. Like, we are very similar. So it was a bit scary, I think. Like, we're like, is this normal? Like, should this be okay? Because our thinking, like when we were dating, we had very specific dates. We had like theology dates where we like talked over theology. We had like, yeah. Because we really wanted to get to know, like, is this going to work? We had like dates where we talked about how many kids you want to have, and we said 4, like, because Hayden came from a big family. He's one of 5, and I'm one of 2, and I love the dynamics of a big family. But we settled on 2. We've got 2 kids, which is hilarious because it's not what we originally thought we would do. But God knows other things, you know, better for us. But yeah, we were very compatible. So we don't really have any funny stories. Oh, yes, sorry. Our first argument was when we were dating, and we read this book called Things I Wish I Knew Before You Got Married, or something like that. Yeah. Yes. Gary Chapman? Gary Chapman, someone, yeah. The guy who wrote the 5 Love Languages book. And there were questions specifically directed at, you know, who does what when you get married? Like, who takes out the rubbish? Who cooks? Who cleans? What does your wardrobe look like? And so I was like, okay, you know, if we were to have a wardrobe, like, I need you to fold your things like neatly, right? Like, I don't like mess. And he goes, well, what's wrong with what's wrong with me living like I do? Like, it looks folded. And I'm like, it's not folded. And so we had this massive argument over putting clothes away. Like, we weren't even married.
We concluded that I'm going to have my own drawer, so I can just chuck my stuff in the drawer, and you can have the wardrobe, and you can make it look nice in the wardrobe. So it worked out.
Oh man, I could not handle that jandal. I could not handle if Tony just stuffed his clothes into his drawer. My OCD would be like, ah! Yeah, they have to be folded perfect. What's her name? Marie Kondo. Yeah. So, can you answer this next one then? Has there been something challenging about coming from 2 different cultures?
I think that, like I said, we found that we're very similar, and I think that our biggest challenge probably was in like almost the external to our marriage, and like when people see us, they perceive us as a certain way. They, you know, you make almost stereotypes and being like, oh, Andrew's a certain way, or even on the other side, you know, people, Indians and stuff would make stereotypes of me being a certain way, and so there'd be that sort of dynamic where, people perceive us to be a certain way and not actually see us that way, and so I think it's quite interesting where, you know, we'd like walk down the shops and there'd be people and they'd be staring at us because, you know, we look different to each other. And even with our kids, or if I'm with, you know, Hunter, my son, we don't look exactly the same either. And people are like, you know, what's going on? But I think it's interesting how you have that. But I think that when we're talking about love in particular, there's like 2 ways to, you know, to love someone. You can like love the person you think they are, or almost you can love the person you want them to be, or you can actually love the real person. And the only way to love the real person is to actually break down the walls of how you think you see someone, whether that's your friend or that's your wife or that's your family. You can see someone a certain way and you can love that, or you can actually get to know the real person and love that real person. And I think when you can break through that, then that's where like real love can come into play. And that's one of the crazy things about God, is that he knows the real you. And he loves you. He doesn't love the facade of you that you put out to everyone else. He actually loves the real you. And so, yeah, double whammy of us actually seeing the real person, getting to know the real person and loving that person, and realizing that God loves the real one of us as well. Yeah.
That's so good. Thank you, guys. Matt and Rebecca, I have another question for you. You guys do marriage so well. You're an amazing team. You have amazing kids. Rebecca, you're studying for a PhD. You're involved in ministry. You both work full time. Very much in love. And so we want to know, is there a secret sauce to an amazing marriage?
Ooh, I laughed actually when I read the bit about secret sauce because hopefully good relationships, there shouldn't be secrets with it. Like we want everyone to have great relationships, but when we were first married, or it might have been when we were dating actually, I can't even remember. Rebecca will know, she'll tell you soon. But B was very excited to make me her family dish, the meal that her dad just loves. And she was so passionate about it, this Russian goulash business. And actually my brother-in-law's in the room or out in the walkway somewhere. He'll know what I'm talking about because Rebecca's sister made the same dish for him. And it was really bad. Like, it was just this awful ooh. Right, sorry, short answers. So, but the expectation was that I was going to love it. And so it's a little bit like what Hayden and Andrew were saying, is our family of origin, while we are real similar, our family of origin has all these differences and we continue to navigate that over the years. I don't think that's ever stopped, where every season of our life we'll go, like raising teenagers now, how Rebecca was raised or working with our adult children is different. Her parents parented differently to how mine did, and so we have these preconceived ideas, and so we've worked really, really hard at communicating all the time about what we think, and like what Hayden was saying, getting to the real person of what do we actually really think, not just assuming what the other person will think because we think we know them. And that won't stop, that just carries on, I think, forever. Yeah, I don't know.
It was when we were married.
Oh, there we go.
Both my sisters and I all made the dish. All of the husbands thought it was average. It's still my dad's favourite dish.
Average was bad.
It's what I like it. I think it's hard to kind of distill, is there one thing or is there a secret sauce? That's why our minds went to food. I do think there are some things that you can do in relationship, whether it's any relationship really, but actually, as Hayden said, getting to know the person for the person, and there's lots of statistics and research about how friendship. When you have a solid friendship, we actually like to hang out with each other. We actually like to, see the person, do stuff with them. That's the core thing that holds marriage together. I work in couple counselling, and that's one of the things that, when kids leave home, couples like, who even are you? Do I even like you? And so continuously working towards actually liking the person that you're in relationship with. And I do think the narrative therapy idea from Mr. Michael White, that the problem is the problem, not the person. And so when we can see whatever's happening in our relationship is not each other, but actually something external to that, and then work together. When we can actually think about that as the problem, not our partner, I think that's actually the key. And when we see them for who they are and can work together on whatever's become part of our lives, that builds teamwork, that builds relationship, that builds intimacy.
Wow, what amazing answers. Are you getting a lot out of this? Because I am getting so much out of this. Thank you so much for being so honest and vulnerable. And so, Rayma, I want to talk to you. And Rayma, you are just living your best life, and you are loving Jesus, and we love having you here. And I just think, you're single, you're here on staff, you're just in everything, you're loving it all. And I just want to ask you, what does love look like for you within your single life, but also within your full life that you hold? And I just want to make a statement that I know it's different for everybody. If you're single in this room, there's so many different ways to look at that. But Rayma, if we could hear that from you, that would be amazing.
Awesome. Great question. Yes. Well, I mean, everyone in this room has been single before, so we all, have done our seasons differently. And growing up, we moved around a lot, and so between Australia and New Zealand, and whilst I was like, I hated it at the time, looking back, they were all beautiful moments, but it also gave me the understanding and the want and the desire to make the most of where I am, because I never know how long it's going to be for, or who's going to be in my life, or what have you. And so I feel like through that it set me up, because whether I'm here in the Mount or whether I was living in Auckland or in Sydney or wherever, I was there and I was fully there, and I wasn't waiting for what's coming next or whatever. I was just making the most of what God's given me in the moment. And He does work in seasons, and so for now, God's got me here in the Mount, and I hope it is really, really, really long, because I love it here. And for the being single, lots of times in churches, you can be made to feel like, there's all these great milestones, and then if you're not married, then unlucky. But it's actually not true, and it's such a lie that, you need to be married to be awesome, or be married to have these cool ideas, or have these hobbies, or have these things, or be great at something. Like, you're still awesome. Like, all the things that you do isn't diminished because you're not married, if that makes sense. And for me, in this season of life, love is found in all my friendships. I have great friendships, although friendships is probably like a light word. They're like sisters to me, lots of my friends that I have in my life. And I've got great friendships, deep friendships. And then also just, and I'm loving it, because even though when you get married and all that stuff, you still need friends and like all that stuff, and you still need hobbies, and you still need to have interests and stuff. So like, don't wait till someone comes along to be like, oh, what do I like? I like whatever you like. That's not good. And so whether this is just a season of singleness, or this is the life that God's called me to live, I'll still live fully, and I'll live devoted to Him. And it's also such a cool, well, for me, I find it to be a really special time as well, because I can actually just be fully devoted to God. Like, there's nothing that I actually have to think about. Like, there's no kid. Like, when we moved around a lot, my parents also had to think about, each other and all of us kids and all those dynamics. Whereas I'm in this cool place of life where I'm like, okay, Lord, wherever you lead me, I'll go. But like actually meaning it as well, and not having to think about all these things, which is awesome if that's where you are. That's so cool that you get to think about that stuff. But I love the season of life, and I'm not waiting for someone to come along and make me like whole or whatever. Like, actual wholeness is found in God, and so it's not just two half people come together. It's, people complete in Christ coming together to be one. And so you can still have fun, and I don't see it as a burden. It's definitely not. It's not walls or like a prison or anything like that. It's just a setup for what God wants in your life. And I also want to acknowledge that, there's different lengths of it and different seasons, and it looks different for all of us. But can I encourage you, if you're single, to take this moment and take this time in and be like, okay, Lord, what is it that you actually want of me? Because it's a really cool part of life. And it's not to be endured, it's to be enjoyed. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rayma. Yes, that does this. We've asked you some hard questions today, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I really realise that we are running out of time, but let's just get through another one or two. Ellie, what have you got there?
So, Matt and Rebecca, you guys have been part of a church community pretty much your whole lives. And so just in a nutshell, what has love in the church community looked like for you guys?
Well, we've been here at Curate, feels like forever, 20 years. So we've seen the movement and the changes and the ups and downs. And love through that looks like a whole lot of different things. I think about whānau and family, and all of you come from a family of origin. So if you imagine what that's like for you, that's what you bring into this space, into this church whānau as well. So there'll be times where people will disappoint you. There'll be times where there's great sadness and loss and grief. There'll be times where things are amazing and you really feel connected, and there's relationships that, you've got people to go to Yomi with, if you like that. And all of us experience that differently. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, what has held us here? And I think it's that idea of covenant, that you commit to something in all of those seasons and the ups and downs. And for us, church isn't for us, it's for this connection and to experience Jesus. And I was thinking about how do we do that practically? And Ellie read the scripture that's at every Christian wedding, 1 Corinthians 13. And I was thinking about it in the shower this morning, and the piece that talks about not keeping any record of wrongs. And I think for me that's the key, is that when we have been hurt or we have felt frustrated or disconnected, it's not regurgitating it over and over again. It's going, okay, God, thank you for what you did in that season and how you transformed me and how you're continuing to transform me. And getting to do that with a group of people that are also being transformed into the likeness of Christ. And so just kind of holding things lightly, knowing that in a family we are going to upset each other, and we're also going to have cool times, and we're going to be able to pray for one another, and we're going to share in death and loss. And for me, seeing us come together at He Mai Mai Aroha, when we've experienced grief and loss in our maunga and the lives that were lost there, that's an example of aroha in action, irrespective of what we're bringing into the space.
I would just add to that too, thinking, especially over the last few years, which have been some tricky times, and we've had tricky times in the last 20 years as well, I suppose, in church. And we love church. We love this place so much. But our Connect group is one of the things that has helped us to really walk through this really well, as we walk through life with them. And even just last week, we were talking with them about our things in the summer, and the things that we laughed at and the things that we cried about. And we could do that together. And so that's been, really super helpful too, I think.
Yeah, beautiful. We are definitely out of time. Shall we do one more question? How are you guys feeling? It's hard, isn't it? There's so many more things to say yet. It's up to you. Yes, I am. Could you be quick with this one, do you think, Andrew and Hayden? Yeah? Go for it. Okay, good, great. All right, I just want to ask this one, which is love and evangelism. And I think these guys kind of already answered that with community, but because you've got a different stance, you work with Good Neighbour, just looking at that, your walk with that, being the hands and feet of Jesus within the community, what does love look like there?
I think Good Neighbour is very beautifully named Good Neighbour, and that it is not just a not-for-profit organisation. It is getting our community to be good neighbours to each other. Like, everybody can do that. It's not just us as an organisation. And we encourage that as much as possible to hand up, not hand out, and getting people to rally around each other. Community, which is, what we do here at church. It's we have Christian beliefs. A lot of our values are what we would have here in church, but we're just out in the community and we don't put the label of church, so it's easy for people to come to us. It breaks that barrier of people who might have wounds from church, who might not like the word church, who might not like the word Christian, but we show exactly the same sort of love, the same non-judgmental love that we do here to each other. And so, I think everybody can be a good neighbour. It's just looking out for the people around you and seeing the need and helping. Just literally going out and saying, what do you need today? How can I help? Or just sitting there and listening. Because you just don't know what somebody's experiencing. In this room, in the size room, there's people of all walks of life who are experiencing loss and grief and joy and weddings and exciting things. Everybody is of different walks at the moment. So it's just being aware, I think, and just truly having meaningful conversations, I think, as well. And in my job, because we're not a church, we don't say, hey, Jesus is here for you, giving that hope that people can walk away with. But if the opportunity presents itself, and when it presents itself, I will share about Jesus, because he is the one that brings hope. But I will quietly go and sneak a prayer in for that person, whether they know it or not. But yeah, that's what my evangelism looks like.
I love that.
In my work.
Yeah, just a sneaky prayer. That's even part of being within evangelism. I love that. Can we give these guys a massive round of applause? I think they are just amazing. Let's head on down, guys. Give them another round of applause.